Good evening. It's Tuesday, the 28th of October, and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Diplomatic Summit. Trump and Japan's first female Prime Minister Takaichi holds talks to strengthen trade. Conflict escalation. Rapid support forces capture strategic Darfur city, threatening to deepen Sudan's political division. Senior athlete. 102-year-old tennis veteran continues to inspire as he dominates the court for 50 years.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Amarsha Fernando.
Good evening and thank you once again for joining us on World News Tonight on other Derana News channel. In Tokyo, Donald Trump met with Japanese newly elected Prime Minister Takaichi, the country's first woman in this role, to sign deals on trade, rare earth minerals and security cooperation. The discussions mark a renewed era of U.S.-Japan partnerships and Japan's pledge to boost military spending.
U.S. President Donald Trump met new Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi in Tokyo, just a week after the hardline conservative became the country's first female leader. In a statement, the White House said the two nations signed a framework agreement for securing the supply of critical minerals and rare earths, which are crucial for a wide range of products from smartphones to fighter jets. Trump has already landed a $550 billion investment pledge from Japan in exchange for respite on punishing import tariffs. Takaichi has also vowed to increase defense spending to 2% of GDP, in a move to preempt U.S. demands that Japan do more to defend itself. The two leaders sat down for discussions, during which Takaichi expressed her vision for strengthening bilateral ties.
Through these efforts, together with you, Mr. President, I would like to realize a new golden age of the Japan-U.S. alliance, where both Japan and the United States will become stronger and also more prosperous. Thank you.
Takaichi was a close ally of assassinated Japanese Premier Shinzo Abe, who formed a bond with Trump over hours spent on the golf course during his first term. She gifted Trump Abe's putter and other items, according to photos posted on X by one of the president's assistants.
He spoke so well of you long before we met, and I'm not surprised to see that you are now the Prime Minister, and he would be very happy to know that.
Trump met Takaichi at Tokyo's Akasaka Palace, the same venue where he met Abe 6 years ago. Now, the White House says the Japanese leader is preparing to nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, the prestigious accolade he has long pursued. The U.S. president's trip to Asia is his longest journey abroad since taking office in January. He's already announced a slew of deals with Southeast Asian countries and oversaw the signing of a ceasefire agreement between Thailand and Cambodia. Trump's trip is expected to conclude in a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea on Thursday.
In Moscow today, Vladimir Putin met with Cho Soon-hee, the top diplomat of North Korea, reaffirming that bilateral relations are going according to plan. Meanwhile, in Asia, Donald Trump announced he would love to meet leader Kim Jong-un during his South Korea stop, raising fresh global security questions.
Russian President Vladimir Putin met North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee at the Kremlin.
Здравствуйте, очень рада вас видеть взаимно. Благодарна за то, что...
During the meeting, the Russian leader also stressed that relations between the two countries are developing according to plan. According to Russian media, Putin recalled his recent discussions with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, including their last meeting in Beijing, and said the two sides talked in detail about the development of bilateral ties. He added that everything is going according to plan in the best possible way, signaling Moscow's continued effort to deepen cooperation with Pyongyang amid growing international scrutiny. Che began her three-day visit to Moscow on Sunday as part of a two-nation trip that also includes Belarus. Her visit comes at a time of heightened diplomatic activity in the region as South Korea hosts the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit this week. The timing has drawn attention, with speculation over whether another meeting between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump could take place on the Korean Peninsula. Speaking to reporters aboard his presidential plane en route to Japan on Monday, President Trump said he would love to meet Kim during his Asia trip, even suggesting he could extend his stay if necessary.
I haven't mentioned it, I haven't said anything, but I'd love to meet with him if he'd like to meet. I got along great with Kim Jong-un. I liked him, he liked me. If he wants to meet, I'll be in South Korea.
Trump and Kim met 3 times during Trump's first term, first in Singapore in June 2018, then in Hanoi in February 2019, and finally at the inter-Korean border village of Panmunjom in June 2019. As diplomatic signals intensify once again, attention is now turning to whether a new chapter in U.S.-North Korea relations might unfold alongside Moscow's renewed engagement with Pyongyang.
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet have agreed to launch a joint task force next month aimed at tackling the growing number of job and scam-related crimes targeting Koreans in Cambodia. The initiative comes amid surge detention, missing nationals and a serious travel warning.
Tackling transnational online scam crimes topped the agenda when President Lee Jae-myung met Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet on the sidelines of the ASEAN-related summits in Kuala Lumpur, in the wake of a recent surge of such crimes in Cambodia, where some South Koreans have been found involved or fell victim.
대한민국에서는 현재 이 스캠 범죄 때문에 우리 국민들 전체가 매우 예민한 상태인데 우리 캄보디아 당국이 대한민국 국민들에 대해서 각별한 배려를 해주신 점 진심으로 감사드립니다.
The Cambodian leader began the summit by offering his condolences for the recent death of a Korean college student, believed to have been lured to Cambodia by a scam gang, and pledged for stronger crackdowns on such crimes with other nations. As a result of their meeting, they agreed to take further action. In light of the launch, President Lee signaled that South Korea may lower its travel alerts for certain areas in Cambodia, including Phnom Penh. Other areas of focus were bolstering cooperation on a wide range of issues, as President Lee expressed hope of elevating bilateral cooperation to a new level, while Prime Minister Manet hoped to expand investment, people-to-people exchanges, as well as cooperation on security and defense. Before heading home, President Lee sat down with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim on Monday, with a focus on future cooperation, including trade, AI, arms industries, and Korea's peace vision.
In Brisbane, engineers have unveiled a Queensland-built hypersonic prototype, the Dart-A, using a hydrogen scamjet and 3D printed components. Designed to test sustained speeds above Mach 5, the vehicle could drastically cut international flight times and advance commercial hypersonic transports if tests succeed today.
This sleek hypersonic aircraft with its scramjet engine has the potential to revolutionise air travel and logistics.
So it uses lift to manoeuvre and operates in exactly the same way as a traditional aircraft does, but it just flies way, way faster.
This prototype, known as a Dart, has been designed and built at a laboratory in Ipswich. It's a hydrogen-powered aircraft that can travel 5 times the speed of sound, the concept of former NASA scientist Dr. Michael Smart.
The scramjet engine is my design. We've spent 30 years developing that.
The goal is to make an aircraft big enough to transport passengers or satellites into space.
It's not quite as big a change as the horse and cart to the car, I would say. I wouldn't claim that. But it really is an opening up of what aircraft can do.
Or potentially fast enough to take passengers from Brisbane to London in 2 hours, if they can overcome some challenges.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. And welcome back. A pivotal moment has come in Sudan's civil war. The paramilitary Rapid Support Forces claim to have captured the army headquarters in Al-Fashir, the last holdout of the army in Darfur after an 18-month siege. Analysts warn this could cement a geographic split in the country.
Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces say they've captured the final holdout of the Sudanese army in Darfur. That's raising fears of a split in the country, which is torn between rival military groups. The capture of the city of Al Fashir ends a brutal 18-month siege by the RSF. The group said it had taken over the local headquarters of Sudan's army. Since then, sources have said RSF fighters had detained fleeing civilians in nearby towns and villages. The RSF had surrounded thousands of soldiers from the army. In a televised statement, Sudan's army chief said his forces, quote, assessed a need to retreat.
Everyone has followed what happened in Al Fashir. Certainly, the leadership there, including security, made assessments that they have to leave the city due to the systematic destruction and killing of civilians. We agreed with them to leave the city and go to a safe place so as to spare the rest of the citizens and the rest of the city from destruction.
The RSF has been locked in a civil war with Sudan's army for more than 2.5 years. The two sides fell out over plans to integrate their forces during a transition towards democracy. Analysts say the RSF's taking of Al Fashir may help them regain other territory around the country and grant them a diplomatic edge. Alan Boswell is with the International Crisis Group in Nairobi. Some activists have long warned that an RSF takeover of the city would lead to ethnic revenge attacks of the 250,000 people remaining there. That was seen after the capture of the Zamzam camp for displaced people to the south. A UN-mandated mission said last month the RSF had committed multiple crimes against humanity in the Al Fashir siege. The army has also been accused of war crimes. Unless U.S.-backed peace talks make progress, it could all worsen a conflict that's already displaced millions, plunged half of Sudan into hunger, and spread disease throughout the country.
In Cameroon, 92-year-old President Paul Biya has been declared winner of the contested election, securing his 8th term in office with 53.66% of the vote. His opposition claims fraud and protesters have clashed with security forces as tensions escalate across the country.
Protesters face off with police after Cameroon's President Paul Biya won an 8th term on Monday. At 92, he is the world's oldest serving ruler. On the streets of Douala, his supporters say the vote was rigged, which the government denies.
The Cameroonian people, the youth of Cameroon, are demanding their victory by majority vote. We all know that Cameroon, the people, voted overwhelmingly for Issa Chiroma Bakari.
Biya won 54% of the vote against 35% for Chiroma, his former ally, the Constitutional Council said. If he serves the full term, Biya could be in power until he's nearly 100. After the results were announced, Chiroma wrote on Facebook that 2 people were killed after shots were fired at civilians outside his home in the northern city of Garoua. He did not say who had fired the shots. Biya has tightened control since transitioning from Prime Minister to President 43 years ago. Over the decades, he's survived political turmoil and gradually introduced economic reforms. Opposition protesters have clashed with security forces repeatedly over the past week after partial results suggested Biya was on course to win again. There was no immediate comment on the result of this election from the government.
In Ivory Coast, 83-year-old President Alassane Ouattara has won a 4th term in office with a commanding 89.77% of votes in the provisional results. The landslide victory comes after major opposition figures were barred from running, sparking concerns about democratic credibility despite a largely peaceful election.
Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has secured a 4th term with a commanding re-election win. The country's Electoral Commission chief delivered the provisional results on state television Monday. At the ruling party's headquarters, Ouattara's supporters celebrated upon hearing the announcement. Former Commerce Minister Jean-Louis Billon, who received just over 3% of the votes, had acknowledged his defeat to the 83-year-old Ouattara. Former First Lady Simone Gbagbo, who received about 2.4% of the votes, called Ouattara on Monday to congratulate him on his victory. Ouattara, a former deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund, has said that in a 4th term, he would continue growing the economy and attracting private investment. He also vowed to facilitate the passing of the torch to a new generation of political leaders. This is Ouattara's third consecutive decisive victory after the much closer election that brought him to power in 2011. His predecessor, Laurent Gbagbo, refused to acknowledge defeat in that race, sparking a 4-month war that killed around 3,000 people. Ouattara has since overseen a period of relative stability and steady economic growth in the world's biggest cocoa producer. He was widely expected to secure a fourth term after his strongest opponents were deemed ineligible. Both Laurent Gbagbo and John Thiam, a former CEO of Credit Suisse, were not legally permitted to run, while remaining opposition candidates lacked the backing of a major political party. In a statement on Monday, Thiam said the election was not a real election and that voting had unfolded in a climate of fear with weak participation. The voter turnout of around 50% was comparable to the presidential elections in 2020 and 2015, but far below the 80% who voted in the first round of 2010. The election unfolded without major disruption on Saturday after days of scattered protests. The government earlier deployed 44,000 members of the security forces.
Hurricane Melissa, now a high-end Category 5 storm with sustained winds up to 175 miles per hour, is bearing down on Jamaica. Officials warn of catastrophic winds, rainfall up to 40 inches and life-threatening landslides. Evacuation orders are underway as the island braces for what it may be its worst storm ever.
From space, you can see what a catastrophic storm looks like, complete with lightning strikes and the eye of the storm. With the highest designation on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, Melissa is packing sustained winds of up to 282 kilometers per hour. The storm is widely expected to be the most powerful Jamaica has ever recorded. Thousands of people in southern Jamaica are under evacuation orders, but many have decided to stay put and ride out the storm. The Prime Minister has already called on foreign support, warning the country's infrastructure cannot withstand a storm of such magnitude. In Florida, volunteers were already answering the call, packing up food and other necessities. In Haiti and the Dominican Republic, the storm has already caused deadly flooding, and torrential downpours have forced thousands into temporary shelters. And in Cuba, authorities said they'd evacuated more than 500,000 people from vulnerable areas. Scientists say storms are building intensity more quickly as a result of climate change, warming ocean waters. Melissa is expected to move over Jamaica through Tuesday, then cross eastern Cuba and the Bahamas.
Time for a short commercial break now. We'll be right back with more world news. And welcome back. In Austin, Texas, 102-year-old veteran and tennis-devoted Dick Bond, who believes swinging a racket at his age 50, has now enjoyed half his life on the courts. His journey from retirement pastime to passionate lifelong sport serves as a powerful reminder that age is no barrier to staying active and fulfilled.
It started off as a hobby, a way for Dick Bond to stay active in his retirement. But the game of tennis has turned into a passion. Bond of Texas has been playing now for 50 years, which amounts to about half his life since he turned 102 years old recently. He may have started tennis at age 50, but he says he doesn't know where he would be if he hadn't taken a liking to the sport.
It's so much a part of my life. It's really what keeps me going and gives me a reason to get the hell out of bed. It's never too late.
Bond is a widower, having lost his wife after 70 years of marriage. Tennis also provides him an opportunity to connect with other people on a regular basis. Many of his tennis friends even came out to celebrate his recent birthday, wishing for many more years of him showing up to the court.
A dramatic rescue unfolded when patrol officers in the Fort Worth Police Department responded to a vehicle crash on Interstate 30, where a 1-year-old baby has been pinned beneath an overturned SUV. With the aid of bystanders, officers lifted the vehicle, performed CPR on the unconscious child, and both mother and the baby are now in stable condition.
It's a desperate race against time, finding a baby trapped under an overturned SUV. Cops rush there just as a team of Good Samaritans are trying to figure out exactly where the baby might be under the vehicle. The mother was thrown from the SUV and is lying in the grass. An officer is on his knees looking under the vehicle. You can hear the faint cry of the mom in the distance. Within seconds, they spot the little girl. She's pinned under the vehicle. Cops realize they have to lift it if she's going to be saved.
Under here. We need to move the car. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving.
Everyone pitches in, police and the civilians. Seconds later, there's the infant, dragged from under the vehicle by her legs, but she's not breathing. The cops begin chest compressions.
She has a pulse. Is she breathing though?
You can hear the heavy breathing of the officer doing baby CPR.
I think I feel a breath. I feel her breathing.
There it is. Come on.
Come on, baby.
Keep working.
Then, a miracle. The cries signaling the baby has been brought back to life.
There you go. There you go.
Even though the little girl is breathing, the officer continues massaging her chest. A more robust cry follows.
Yes, cry.
Yes.
She's alive.
Cry, please.
The baby was taken to a waiting ambulance.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Marsha Fernando, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of Lego flowers blooming bright and spooky New York stoops. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on our Derana News channel. Have a great night.